please consider contributing to the Trilbee Reviews and Film Brits Patreon for just $1 a month to get exclusive access, early downloads, and also names in the credits. Links will be provided in the description below, as well as sources for the news story. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Trilbee, and yesterday we looked at the nominees for the 90th Academy Awards, which are going to be held in early March, and today we're going to be taking a look at the anti-Oscars. These are the 38th Golden Raspberry Awards, otherwise known as the Razzies, which are going to be held the day before the Oscars on March 3rd, 2018, and I have the list of nominees in front of me. There's no fancy graphics or anything because the Razzies don't do anything like that. They're just a relatively small organisation, and if you would like to vote on the Razzies, you have to pay to become a member, and you become a member of the Razzie voting body, essentially. So they are the ones who choose the nominees. It's not something to be taken hugely seriously, but it's something that I think is pretty funny, and I'd like to talk about the nominees here because even though we don't really have a proper anti-Oscars in a huge official capacity, this is the closest thing we've got. So without further ado, the nominees for Worst Picture, we've got Baywatch, The Emoji Movie, 50 Shades Darker, The Mummy, and Transformers: The Last Night. For Worst Director, Darren Aronofsky for Mother, Michael Bay for Transformers: The Last Night, James Foley for 50 Shades Darker, Alex Kurtzman for The Mummy, and Tony Leonidas for The Emoji Movie. For Worst Actor, we've got Tom Cruise in The Mummy, Johnny Depp for Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales, Jamie Dornan in 50 Shades Darker, Zac Efron in Baywatch, and Mark Wahlberg in both Daddy's Home 2 and Transformers: The Last Night. For Worst Actress, Katherine Heigl in Unforgettable, Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades Darker, Jennifer Lawrence in Mother, Tyler Perry in Boo 2 and Medea Halloween, and Emma Watson in The Circle. Worst Supporting Actor, Javier Bardem in Mother and Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales, Russell Crowe in The Mummy, Josh Duhamel in Transformers: The Last Night, Mel Gibson in Daddy's Home 2, and Anthony Hopkins in both Collide and Transformers: The Last Night. Worst Supporting Actress, Kim Basinger in 50 Shades Darker, Sophia Boutella in The Mummy, Laura Haddock, Transformers: The Last Night, Goldie Hawn in Snatched, and Susan Sarandon in A Bad Mom's Christmas. Worst Screen Combo, any combination of two characters, two sex toys, or two sexual positions in 50 Shades Darker. Any combination of two humans, two robots, or two explosions in Transformers: The Last Night. Any two obnoxious emojis in The Emoji Movie. Johnny Depp and his worn-out drunken routine in Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. And Tyler Perry and either the ratty old dress or worn-out wig in Boo 2 and Medea Halloween. In Worst Prequel, Rip-Off, Remake, or Sequel, we have Baywatch, Boo 2 and Medea Halloween, 50 Shades Darker, The Mummy, and Transformers: The Last Night. And for Worst Screenplay, we've got Baywatch, written by Damian Shannon, Mark Swift, Jay Sherrick, David Ron, oh my god, there's a lot of names attached to that screenplay. The Emoji Movie by Tony Leonidas, Eric Seigel, and Mike White, 50 Shades Darker by Neil Leonard, The Mummy by David Koepp, Christopher McQuarrie, David Kussman, John Spates, Alex Kurtzman, and Jenny Lumet. That did not need that many writers. And for Transformers: The Last Night, Art Markham and Matt Holloway, Ken Nolan, and Akiva Goldsman. Now, the Razzies, I don't take this stuff too seriously, but I still think it's pretty fun to talk about here. I know some people are like, we must ditch the Razzies and have something more prestigious and more representative of the worst films of the year. But the thing about the Razzies is that these are, in a way, they're in good fun. You have people like Sandra Bullock or Halle Berry come up and actually accept their awards if they were to win. I actually remember a few years ago where Sandra Bullock was nominated for All About Steve and she won, and the very next day she won for The Blind Side for Best Actress at the Academy Awards. Terrible film and not a good performance, but that's because how history went. With the Razzies, because you have to pay to become a member and you become part of the voting body and you get these news stories, it's essentially a popularity contest. These films are not, as far as I'm aware or concerned, not really the worst films of 2017. For example, Alien Covenant is nowhere to be seen on these nominees. You've also got films such as Chips or The Book of Henry or Rings or Flatliners or Geostorm. These films are just nowhere to be seen on this list, at least in the prominent categories. But saying something like Rings wins Worst Picture is not something that's really going to get the Razzies any sort of notoriety. Something like The Mummy or Transformers: The Last Night, these big massive franchise films where we can say franchises and big budgets are bad and we can make headlines and generate more notoriety for these awards so we can get more members and do it again the next year. For example, I've not seen seen Baywatch, the emoji movie of 50 Shades Darker, this past year, because I've been working so much in other jobs and such. I kind of have to prioritize the things that I see. Or if I know that we're going to be talking about it on the Movie Mania podcast, like we were Transformers the last night, or that there might be an interesting conversation. Like, no, make no mistakes, I will see 50 Shades Darker at some point, because I have to continue that terrible legacy. It's just not a priority right now. But there are some just nominees where I don't think it's even remotely deserved. For example, you have Sophia Boutella for Worst Supporting Actress in The Mummy. She's the best part of that film. That is not a bad performance. That is a really good showing from Sophia Boutella. It's mainly the association from that film, and it's kind of the same issue I had with the Oscars in the video I did yesterday, which you can find a link to in the description below and at the end of the video, where I say that for the technical categories they just pick the same 7 or 8 films just so the Academy don't really have to expand their field of view, and they can just nominate the same films over and over again, because God forbid the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences actually watch all of the films. And in this case it feels like, okay, Worst Picture, Baywatch, okay, just throw Zac Efron for Worst Actor, okay, Transformers The Last Night, just throw Anthony Hopkins on there, even though he likewise was one of the best parts of Transformers The Last Night. He's not acting, he's just having a really fun time, and because he's having a fun time, by proxy I was having a good time. Like that scene in the submarine where he's like, get out of the way, fatty. He's really funny in that film. It's worthwhile just to see him in that film. Same for Javier Bardem. I can't speak to his performance in Mother, I've not seen it yet, but Pirates of the Caribbean, he's good in that film. Like, he's hamming it up, but he's good, as opposed to Russell Crowe in The Mummy, who is hamming it up, but is just generally terrible in that film. But there's a few nominees here who I agree with. For example, Alex Kurtzman for The Mummy. He had no business directing that film in any way, shape or form. Johnny Depp and his worn-out drunk routine for Worst Screen Combo. Those Screen Combo nominees are normally just fun to read, as opposed to being a legitimate category in their own right. And we of course have the old faithful, the nominees who always seem to be here almost every single year, like Johnny Depp, like Mark Wahlberg, or Michael Bay, or Dakota Johnson since she joined the 50 Shades franchise, and also Tyler Perry, who has basically, I think, has got almost as many nominees as Adam Sandler has. Leading the nominees, we have Transformers The Last Night with 9 nominations, 50 Shades Darker with 8, and The Mummy with 7. So those are the clear frontrunners here, but like I said, this is stuff that shouldn't really be taken seriously. And there's just the idea of them nominating people because they are big names, not necessarily because they gave the worst performances. And also Emma Watson in The Circle. She's not great in the film, but I wouldn't put her anywhere near a Worst Actress category personally, but that's me taking these a bit too seriously, which, once again, is absolutely not the point of the Razzies. Although I'm kind of surprised that The Snowman isn't nominated here. I mean, come on, Mr. Razzies, we gave you all of the clues. But that's just my thoughts on the Razzies. What do you folks think? Will you be waiting with bated breath as to who wins the Golden Raspberries on March 3rd, 2018, or do you just not bother, or do you want an actual legitimate Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences style awards ceremony that is properly validated by an organisation like that to give out the worst films, or is it kind of kicking films like they're down a bit like The Book of Henry? And also, just for fun, what was your worst film of 2017? Like I said, I've kind of had to prioritise what I saw, so I didn't see outright terrible 0-star films last year like I had done in previous years, like 2014 and 2015, but for me, it was Alien Covenant. That was just a massive pile of shit. Sound off in the comment section below, and I'll see you folks next time. Now, I know what you folks are thinking. Trilbee, who are these awesome names who are scrolling by like in these sort of credits? Well, these folks are my patrons, yes, including Mad as a French Hatter. That was an actual name I was given. These folks are my patrons. They helped keep the lights on my Patreon. They also get early download codes for my podcast. They also get early access to my in-depth reviews on my top 10s and some of my videos, and they also get their names in the credits. If you'd like to get your name in the credits and become a patron, please see the Patreon link in the description below. Your patronage is always appreciated.